Hello everyone. I've recorded this video a few times now, and I recorded it and I got it just right, and my microphone was muted, so now I'm kicking myself and trying to do it again. So there you go, just wanted to let you know that's what's happened. So today's episode is called The Planets, and it's about the 7 heavenly bodies. So these are the 7 planetary bodies that can be seen with the naked eye. They are wandering stars that move throughout the constellations. So this is the curriculum. So far we've covered everything on the left here, and we're now at episode 5, the planets. Next we'll go on to mnemonics, because I want to introduce you to a mnemonic device that can help us to remember this stuff, and then we'll move on with the Hermetic principles. The principles of Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god that can be found in the Kabbalion. Okay, so today's episode is about this construction. Now, you may look at this and think, oh, Lewis, this looks a bit fishy, right? This looks like some occult dark magic to me. Well, what I'll say about that is, firstly, hold your horses. These are symbols. It is language. Symbols are tools. They're neither good nor evil. It is true that occult secret societies have used these for their own selfish gains and have made the world a worse place. But that's not why I'm here. I want to study these symbols. They are very powerful, and they can bring us much in the way of spiritual development, knowledge and understanding, and wisdom. So, with that out of the way, let us begin. So we start this construction with a heptagon, the old 50p piece, and if you want to construct your own heptagon, you can do so like this. You could pause the video and follow the instructions. That's how we get a heptagon. So here's our heptagon, and I'm going to place my first heavenly body at the top of the heptagon, which is the sun, Sol. So Sol is the name of our sun. That's its star name. Then moving down to the left, we have Luna, which is the name of our moon. Top right, we've got Mars. Left, we've got Mercury. Right, we've got Jupiter. Top left, we've got Venus. And then bottom right, we've got Saturn. And then we can complete the star like so. So each of these planets has a day of the week associated with it. So we start with Sunday at the top. Then we've got Monday for the moon. And then if I continue in French, it may be more apparent. The associations between the planets and the days may become more apparent. So we have lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, and Saturday. So the reason why the French language is more clear about these associations is because French is more closely related to the Latin language. And in Latin, they would literally say day sun, day moon, day Mars. It was dies solis, dies lunae, martis, venris. Mercury was the same, dies Jovis. I got these in the wrong order, didn't I? Because then it's Venris for Friday, and then it's Saturni for Saturday, and then Solis for Sunday. So these associations were there at the beginning. That's my point. I'm sorry, I spaffed that up a little bit. And we've kind of inherited these associations. Okay, so each of these planetary bodies has an associated metal. So we've got gold for the sun, silver for the moon, iron for Mars, mercury for Mercury, tin for Jupiter, copper for Venus, and then lead for Saturn. Right. So with these elements, we can form this wider star here. So this sort of grey star behind the heptagram connects those elements. And what I've done here is I've written the atomic numbers of each of these elemental metals within each of their realms, should we say. So if we start with Mars, the lowest number at 26, if we move horizontally across to Venus, we then get 29. And then if we follow that wider star down to the moon, we get 47. We keep following around, we get 50, 79, 80, and 82. And then we're back down to 26 again. So this is how these different planetary bodies are connected. There are 7 heavenly bodies wandering around in the sky, and that is why we have 7 days of the week. Okay. Also, this is just something that I've done. There are 7 archangels, and I've positioned them at each of these areas, really just to help my own memory, but they do seem to fit quite nicely into these different realms. But anyway, perhaps that's something for another time. So at this point, I would like to bring in the ancient Egyptian Thoth, who I've mentioned earlier, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the ancient Greeks had their version of Thoth called Hermes, who was their wise god. Thoth is the wise god of ancient Egypt. And Hermes, Trismegistus, he's like a re-skinning of Thoth. And they positioned Hermes at Mercury. But before this, Mercury was always considered to be a feminine, a goddess. And so I have placed the wise goddess, Sophia, at Mercury, instead of Hermes, who later became Mercury. Because it was the Greeks who turned Sophia into a man, basically, which has kind of skewed things a little bit. Okay, second thing I want to say about Hermes, about Thoth. Thoth has 7 principles, which I will talk about later. The second principle is the principle of correspondence, that states simply, as above, so below, as below, so above. And this refers to the holistic, holographic, fractal nature of the universe, right? That each piece of the universe contains some version of the whole universe, if that makes sense. It implies that not only are we in the universe, but that the universe is in us. And so when we learn about these heavenly bodies and these different realms and what they represent, we're not only learning about our immediate surroundings, we're also generating a kind of holistic image of what surrounds us, and therefore we are generating a holistic image of ourselves. So these planetary bodies kind of they represent components of our psyches, of our souls. They represent, sort of facets of our personalities. I'm not sure how else to put it. But yeah, that's both anyway. So this construction here, this is my first attempt at creating this construction. It's perhaps a little inaccurate in some places, but generally it's there. I drew this many years ago, perhaps even a decade ago, which is kind of scary how quickly time goes by. So this was really a way of me meditating over these symbols. And as I learned more about each of these um, realms, I would put notes around here, and I'd rub out things and I'd move things around. And I came to an understanding of what each of these realms means. Within educational psychology, they say that 7 is the highest number of concepts that a person can hold in their mind at one time. And through holding each of these 7 concepts in your mind at once, you can come to many different realizations and understandings just on your own. Okay, so this is a mnemonic device, and I'll go into this more in the next episode, because I've placed other things around this construction as well, really for my own memory. Okay, so without any further ado, let us go through each of the planetary bodies one by one in order, starting with Mars. So Mars is the primary masculine body, and its element is iron. So Mars historically has been depicted as a soldier, but Mars really is a realm of manifestation. It's manifestation through use of iron, and iron can either be tools or it could be weapons and armor. But it's really about acting in the world, doing things. So it's more of a cerebral realm than an emotional one. It's about mind and manifestation. So if you want to manifest a house, you can build one, right? If you want to manifest a kingdom, then you can fight for it on the battlefield, and that's Mars, right? It's about doing stuff and creating things. Then we've got the primary feminine, which is Venus, and the element of Venus is copper. So copper is a great conductor of electricity and can create extremely powerful electromagnetic fields. Although copper itself isn't naturally magnetic, which is kind of interesting. It's as though it can be activated with electricity, and then it's deactivated when there's no current going through it. So Venus is a realm of sensation and emotion. It's a realm of energy rather than matter. So what makes Mars masculine is that in this context, masculine is to create things, is to give things or provide things. And then the feminine in this context is to receive things. And experience things, and have feelings about things. So in this same way, we could say that that words, that language, that speech is masculine because you're creating sentences and words and things and putting them out there. And then listening with your ears is feminine because the words are going in and being received. And this is not to say that that one side of this construction is male and the other is female. It's not that. These are masculine and feminine traits that we all possess. Regardless of whether we are men or women, we have masculine and feminine properties about us. Okay, so we've got Mars manifesting things, we've got Venus feeling things, we've got sort of matter and energy here, and those are the primary masculine and feminine bodies. So moving on to the secondary, we have the secondary feminine, Mercury. And for this we have the goddess Sophia. So Sophia was the wise goddess. This is an intellectual sort of realm. It's about acquiring knowledge, investigating. It's about reading all of the books and doing research and study. And Sophia was herself not to be trifled with. She was a very powerful goddess. You see her wielding a sword in the image on the left there. And that's because, well, as you've heard before, knowledge is power. Knowledge is very powerful. And so, yeah, Sophia was not to be trifled with. What could we say about this? So this is sort of a realm of kind of charging the creative batteries, rather than expending that creative energy. It's about taking in influences. So it's not just about reading books, it could be visiting all the art galleries as well, or something like this, listening to all the music. Okay. And what can I say about Mercury? I mean, Mercury is a liquid. It conforms to whatever shape you put it in. It has a property of being able to collect itself together, and also has the power of transmutation as well, to transform metals into amalgams and things like this. Okay, so yeah, Mercury is largely associated with a sort of initiation into the esoteric. Okay, so moving over to the secondary masculine, we have Jupiter. And the element for Jupiter is tin. Now, tin is, in a sense, the most fragile metal amongst the 7 planetary bodies. It can just be bashed in by any of the other bodies, and Mercury would cause an amalgam reaction and destroy it as well. However, tin is sturdy enough to hold its own form, and this makes it very good for shaping and molding into things. And so Jupiter is a realm of creativity, right? So it's masculine, it's secondary masculine. So it's not just about manifesting things, it's about manifesting more nuanced types of things, like creating artwork, creating sculptures or paintings, or writing music, or writing books, or inventing things. These are all in the realms of Jupiter. So secondary feminine, we've got reading all of the books, and then secondary masculine, we've got writing books. Or we could say if Jupiter was about painting things, then Mercury would be about going to all the art galleries and looking at all the paintings. So we have a kind of charging of the creative batteries on this feminine side, and then a kind of depleting of the creative batteries on the secondary masculine side. So, moving on, we have Luna. So, Luna, the moon, is the tertiary feminine heavenly body, and her element is silver. Silver is the reflective element, and in a spiritual sense, to invoke silver is to reflect back whatever has been given to you back to the person that gave it to you. So to use a silver shield, is to hold up a ugly demon's reflection back to itself, to have it scream at its own reflection and flee in terror. So what can I say about Luna? This tertiary feminine body is about instinct and intuition. It is that which we know but can't explain how we know. It is perhaps things that we know and we don't know how we know, but we just know. That's instinct. And Luna was always a very fair and comforting sort of goddess. You know, she'd come to comfort a wounded soldier on the battlefield or something like that. So not sure what else to say about Luna, so I'll just move on. So then finally next we have Saturn, the tertiary masculine, and the element for Saturn is lead. So Saturn is a bit of an unpleasant god. You can see him with his Grim Reaper scythe there. He was a cannibal, so, you know, just throwing that out there, not the most pleasant of chaps. Saturn is about the unfortunate reality. It's that which exists, whether we believe it or not. So lead has this property of being able to stop energy in its tracks. You know, we have lead-lined cases to prevent radiation from getting in. And lead is also, you know, what we use for firearms, you know, for bullets. Let's say if you had a bullet in your leg, like lodged in there, you know, Saturn is saying, you know, you've got a bullet in there, you need to take it out, otherwise you can't heal. And no amount of medicine or spiritual healing is going to remove that bullet, right? Sometimes surgery is necessary. So that's Saturn. We see also the painting on the right, Saturn has an hourglass on his head to remind us of the sands of time weathering away, you know, to remind us of our mortality and things like this. So yes, the realm of Saturn is not one that people find particularly pleasant, but there is a lot of benefit in acknowledging these harsh realities. Okay, so that's Saturn. And then moving on, finally, we have the Sun. And here we've got the god Sol riding on his horses. And the element for the Sun is gold. And this whole realm represents victory and glory and prosperity. It's everything we hope to achieve out of life. We give the gold medal at the Olympics, and people have always given high value to gold just throughout all cultures. What I would say about gold is that gold is always gold. It doesn't rust. It doesn't react with other things. So it has a certain purity about it that's unique to gold. Not sure what else to say about gold, really, other than that it is that victorious destination that we hope to arrive at someday. Okay, so that's a lowdown of the 7 planetary bodies. The more astute scholars watching may have noticed that the masculine bodies are aligned across one side of this construction and the feminine are aligned across the other. You may have seen this construction mirrored, where the feminine's on the right and the masculine's on the left. I prefer it this way. I'm not sure how much it matters that it's mirrored or not. It's as if you're looking at it from one side or the other. The masculine side represents the right hand and the left brain, so it makes sense being on the right because it's right-handed, and then the feminine represents the left hand and the right brain, So it makes sense of being on the left because of the left hand. But if you swapped them around, well, you could say it makes sense the feminine being on the right side because it represents the right brain, and vice versa. So that's just how I've got it. We also have the primary, secondary, and tertiary bodies in rows going from top to bottom there. And we have soul in the middle being the kind of agendered realm. Okay. So through studying these symbols and meditating on them, dwelling on their meanings, I've come to certain realizations, and this construction in my mind has really helped to guide me through life. Largely, it's helped me to just not be frustrated anymore about so many things. Just like political things and stuff used to frustrate me so, but after learning about this stuff, I feel a lot more like, well, I kind of understand why people are angry about things, and I understand that I don't have to be that way. So, for example, people say, oh, offense is taken and not given, which is, that's fighting talk, really. But this construction shows me that that's not exactly true. That offense is both given and received, and that every human interaction contains a component of that which is given and how it is received, primary masculine and primary feminine. So we may have one scenario where a comedian is telling particularly offensive jokes, and then the audience are not taking offense to it. So that's like offense given and not received. Or we may have a scenario where somebody says something that's not really particularly offensive at all, and then some crazy people take huge amounts of offense to it. Right. So then offense is received and not given. But in every human interaction, there is always a combination of that which is given, the masculine side, and how it is received, the feminine side. And yeah, sometimes these are in balance, and sometimes they are not balanced. And when they're not balanced, people get upset, and bad things happen. And you may have heard many ascended master speak of the importance of combining the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, because through this we get creation of new life, and we also get prosperity. We approach the sun by combining the left and right side of this construction. So also looking at the secondaries, we've got Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury represents intellect and Jupiter represents creativity. And the word intelligence is a portmanteau of the two words intellect and Genesis, referring to intellect and creativity. So to be intelligent is to have both of these qualities. It's to have the masculine and feminine secondary qualities. So to be merely intellectual is to not be intelligent because you're not creative. And to be merely creative is not intelligent because you're not intellectual. It's to have both of these. And by combining these two things, we then approach the sun. We have victory and prosperity. And you can see some dotted numbers around each of these symbols. And for Mercury, we have 3, and Jupiter, we have 9. And for the sun, we have 6. The numbers 3, 6, and 9, which have been very prominent numbers amongst liberal artists in the past. And I suspect that is because of the endeavour to combine intellect and creativity in order to attain success. So, yeah, these are some reasons to study this. Studying these old symbols and this old construction has really helped to guide me through forming opinions of things and decision making and things like that in my life. And that is why I share it with you. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much. If you've been watching the episodes, I do appreciate it. Understand that you are on a spiritual journey if this stuff is of interest to you. And developing yourself spiritually is more valuable than any material wealth. Right? You're developing ways to be at peace with yourself. You're developing ways to make better decisions in life. You're developing ways to become more adaptable to your surroundings. And all of those things are worth way more than money. Right? Money comes and goes. And wisdom cannot be taken away from you. The truth cannot be destroyed. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you again. Be well, and until next time, so long.